Hey now, today we're doing a forward ignition change. This is the old style 10 cut forward system. And before we get started on the actual vehicle, I went ahead and prepared a new ignition. I've coated it up to match this key right here. And the big thing on this vehicle is how to get an ignition out of a Ford vehicle, especially the older style using the 10 cut system. That's what we're going to be showing. Beautiful Hawaii. We're on Honolulu Street facing the airport, so we're facing the leeward side or Eva side, and the truck we're going to do is this white truck right here. It's a 1990. Here's a better shot of this baby right here. It's a utility vehicle. Parked roadside. It's a lot easier. This truck belongs to a body shop, so it's a lot easier for them to have us do it right here at the shop, their shop, than it is from trying to tow it down. We had previously made a door key for this vehicle, and what I did is, because he thought the ignition was all trash, I just cut the key for the door lock fitting and cut it to a particular code. So that's good, because now all we have to do is match this door key to the ignition, or max ignition to the door, and we have a system, a lock system on a truck that uses a single key. We're inside of this truck now, and as you can see, there's the ignition lock cylinder right there on the side of the steering column. Yes, it's been tampered with, but years ago people would sit and they would do what we call not impressioning but progressioning. In other words, the door locks use the first 6 positions on the key, and the ignition uses the last 6, so they overlap at cuts 5 and 6. And a lot of people figure, oh, you just make a key for the door and it'll work the ignition. No, that's not how it's done. So instead of sitting here and trying to figure out which one of 30 or 40 different combinations will actually match this ignition, and especially since it's been tampered with, you can see that the bezel, which is this black cover here, has been tampered with, or it's just old. See how it just spins around? I mean, some people say, oh, I can't get my key in. Well, just turn the bezel the right way and rock, you know. But today we're going to remove this ignition. It always helps to have a roll of paper towels in your vehicle. You never know when you're going to need them. Since we're going to be drilling on this ignition here, we're going to definitely kick out some metal shavings. So this, since he doesn't have floor mats to turn upside down, we'll use this paper towel. We're going to begin by removing this bezel. It's real simple. What you need, a pair of pliers here, and we're just going to take it off. And that is if it will allow me to. Since it's being videoed, it probably is going to act up, you know, like it's doing. And when you get one that does that to you, this is what you do. You take yourself a door tool, door panel remover tool, and you do one of these numbers here. Okay, what we're doing is just loosening this bezel up so we can get behind it and remove it. That's all we're doing. Really not interested in what we do with it, as long as we get this sucker off. And that's all crazy and everything. Okay, so we got it a little loose, so we can go ahead and take it off now. Okay, here we go, coming off. See that? Takes it right off. Drop that sucker down. Now you can see what the ignition looks like without that bezel. And we're going to select a drilling point about 3 o'clock, right between these two little nubs right here. And we're going to use, you could use an 1/8 inch drill bit. I'll probably use a 5/32 and drill a sidebar out. On this lock, you have to turn the lock to the on position so you can depress the retainer to remove the lock. What people do oftentimes, they put a slide hammer in this thing here, you know, and they just yank it, and when they do, they mess up the whole back of the lock cylinder. This piece right here, they completely screw this up by taking a slide hammer and yanking the ignition out, calling themselves going to steal a car. Well, you can take it like that, but that's really not the way. So I got my handy dandy super punch here, and this is exactly where I'm going to drill at to take this lock. So I'm going to put a punch there, a punch mark there, so that my drill bit won't wander. So we put a nice punch mark there, so we know exactly where we're drilling at. History here, because this sidebar is what actually locks this plug in place inside the housing, and we don't have a key for the existing ignition. That is the reason why we're going to drill this sidebar and drill it down flat so that we can turn it. So the location that I gave you is where we're going to be drilling from the front without this bezel in to recess this sidebar, and we're going to have to turn the lock cylinder to get it out. Now once we can turn it, then we can depress this here retainer right here. Turned, depressed, retainer, turned ignition, depressed retainer will allow us to pull this whole assembly out and replace it. That's why we got to drill it, because without a key, you're not going to lower this sidebar. Okay, so you know we got the DeWalt here, 18 volt, and we're going to rock and go ahead and drill this ignition out. Okay, since I ain't messing around with no what they call hard plate in there and all that kind of stuff. Now if I could show you the inside of this hole, woo dog, I'm just about able to. Look at that, that's nice. But now we're gonna turn the ignition. Here we go. I'm just using the regular edge. You can use a big screwdriver or whatever, but okay, now you see there? Now if I wanted to start this truck, I could start it, but I'm just going to take it to the run position and we're going to go up underneath and hit the retainer, which you can see this little hole right here. That's where the retainer is. So we're going to put a little thing in there and push that retainer up and pull that ignition out. Okay, we're ready to put our little awl up in here and depress the retainer, and woohoo! See the ignition move? And we got it depressed far enough to move it out. Now I'm gonna take just a regular pair of pliers and yank this baby right on out of here, just like it was never supposed to be there. Look at that. Now that is how you take the ignition out without damaging the heck out of it. Okay, now this you don't want to use this ignition again, but if we had to, we could. And this is a shot of what the inside of that cylinder housing looks like. Okay, if you've never seen it, or you've seen one all jacked up, this is how it's supposed to be assembled or reassembled. You got the green retainer in behind it, you got a little metal H plate, and through that groove is how the ignition lock cylinder lines up. And that's why when you take a slide hammer and jack them out, that's why you break all of this stuff inside. Okay, so we got very few shavings right here. We're just gonna brush those off, slide a new ignition in, pow baby. So we got those few shavings out of the way. We inspected our lock cylinder. Our retainer is depressed, and you can see how this portion of the lock cylinder plug has to line up to go in there to turn it on or turn it off. And that's how it has to come out. That's how it has to come out. That's how it has to be put back in.